she's going to be doing a 4-part medley of Indian dance forms. So it's going to be a mix of Bharatanatyam, Indian classical fusion, Ras Garba, and a little bit of Bollywood as well. So why don't we have you dance, and then we'll kind of delve into her classical training that she did growing up, and a little bit how she's got to express that and continue to do it here in India as well. So do you want to say anything else about your pieces? Or she's doing 4 different pieces, but anything else you want to say?
Get hype.
Get hype. All right, take it away.
This hit that ice cold Michelle fight for that white gold. This one for them hood girls, them good girls, straight masterpiece. Solid, wildin', living it up in the city. I got shots on with Saint Laurent. Gotta kiss myself, I'm so pretty. I'm too hot, hot dip. Listen to fire, man, I'm too hot, hot dip. You take a drink and wanna retire, man, I'm too hot, hot dip. Say my name, you know who I am, I'm too hot, hot dip. And the band out that way, bring it down.
Of the remix of Uptown Funk, because that just was too great. I think if you want to grab the mic just over there. So we're going to focus our conversation a little bit more on Bharatanatyam because that's where you have your more classical training. So she started when she was 5 years old, as I remember, and continued all throughout your childhood. And can you talk a little bit about at 15 years old you completed your Arangatram?
Yeah, Arangatram. So Arangatram means ascending the stage. So it's a lot of people think it's a graduation, but that's not the case at all. It's your debut dance recital, so it's like your bachelor's in Bharatanatyam performance. So it's the beginning of your training as a future teacher, a future performer, and traditionally it's done with a classical orchestra, like a live orchestra, and it's about 2 hours long, so you start prepping about a year and a half before it. But after that, you still continue your training. You learn more theory, you learn how to teach. So ever since then, that's what I've been working on.
Yeah. And so then you also mentioned after doing that and continuing in that, when you got to college, you joined a Bharatanatyam fusion, Bollywood kind of dance team, right?
So I was on 2 teams. I was on a Ras Garba team. Ras Garba is a traditional Gujarati folk dance. And believe it or not, there's a huge competitive Indian dance circuit in the US. For Ras alone, there are like 60 plus teams that are competitive. There are like 16 competitions across the country that are all big competitions to a huge national competition. So every year there's like a national champion. And so that was 3 years. And then 1 year I was on the Indian classical team at UMD.
Okay, yeah. And so you mentioned though that Bharatanatyam started off, it was really traditionally a spiritual dance form, and that really people who would train in it classically saw it really for this modality, and that kind of your journey as a dancer has involved, with how can we make it accessible, and something that this generation also wants to learn. Not saying that they don't want to learn it for the spiritual side, but also that you found a lot of people begin to get interested. You start to have conversations at these kind of competitions or performances where people said, wow, you're dancing to Uptown Funk, you're dancing to Legend of Korra or something you had said, things like that, where it started to evolve into a different kind of expression, also along with storytelling, but it kind of gained a little bit of controversy along the way from those who are a little bit more conservative. So can you talk a little bit about that progression and the evolution and what your experience has been?
Sure. So Bharatanatyam, as Kayla said, has traditionally been, by traditionally, like quite recently, but won't get into the history of that, but it's a religious dance form, usually done for gods and stuff. But after I got to college and I started seeing how this classical circuit was evolving, people would do dances about social justice themes to music that you couldn't even imagine. I think my senior year we danced to Call of Duty, Legend of Korra, Tron Legacy, Prince of Persia. So we had a bunch of movie scores and we would do Bharatanatyam. And my year we did political insecurity as our theme. The previous year the team had done violence against women. And it was controversial because we depicted a rape on stage. Not quite, but the topic was covered. And there were people who were like, oh, this is not the use of Bharatanatyam, you shouldn't do this. But still, the entire classical circuit, not just my team, but all of these, 40 universities, everyone is pushing that. Everyone is talking about gun control, the refugee crisis. Yeah. So many themes have been covered. And I remember when my team did gun control, there were a lot of people in the audience, public health workers, who came up and said, this is public health. And so for what I do, public health, it has been really amazing to be able to use a dance form to convey messages like that. Here I did something kind of more fun, just also to show that Bharatanatyam can be relatable. It's not, my goal is to make Bharatanatyam accessible to everyone, not just, a certain class, caste, whatever. That's not the point of Bharatanatyam. It's for everyone, and so these types of remixes and dancing to Legend of Korra, like that's all part of it. So one of my goals is to spread Bharatanatyam in India to everyone. So hopefully that'll happen one day.
Yeah!
I think not only your energy on stage, but your words also give inspiration to that message. So thank you.